It's a pleasure to be here to give Matt's speech. Matt, of course, has been very active in talking about drug law reform, especially in the last couple of years, so it's an honour to be able to deliver his speech today. Unfortunately, just before I begin, I would like to acknowledge Alan Brotherton, who spoke at the Support Don't Punish event at the Wayside Chapel last year and who sadly passed away recently. He gave an amazing speech recounting a moment where a group of people gathered at an AFAO event in Darlinghurst, I think, marched down in a show of solidarity to support the tolerance room that had been set up at the Wayside Chapel and stood outside to bear witness to the act of harm reduction and tolerance taking place inside. It was an extraordinary speech, and so I wanted to mention Alan both for that and for the work that he's done in harm reduction and advocacy over the years. So to Matt's speech, I didn't bring my clip-on beard for this, you'll see what I mean. Half a century ago, my grandfather, Ted Noffs, came face to face with the drug war for the first time. A new war, and one he believed to be conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all drug use is evil. Now we're engaged in a great unwinding of that war, testing whether this nation or any nation so embattled and so dedicated can long endure its unwinding. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. Parliament is where that war was born, and it will be also where in time the war will die. We've come to spend our time here today within these walls because this is where power lies. It's altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we should not hallow these halls, because these halls are not as powerful as we perceive them to be. The brave women and men, living and dead, who struggled to be heard here have consecrated them far above a politician's power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what they said here, and can never forget what they did here. Just a fortnight ago, they ushered into being yet another campaign. The latest of a century's worth of fear-mongering and political ill will towards drug users. A campaign akin to something out of the McCarthy era that calls us to dob in a dealer. A campaign that strengthens the war on drugs. A campaign that depicts young people in its posters and advertisements as dangerous drug dealers. It's not as if the New South Wales government are naive to how advertising works. Before the election, we showed them pages of research and evidence explaining how these sorts of campaigns do more harm than good. In the paper, we explained how they harm those who are dependent on drugs, how they're a waste of taxpayers' money, how they further demonise drug users, and they do not take into consideration that most of the dealers on our street are our children. No, the world will little note nor long remember what some politicians said here in these halls, but it can never forget what they did here. They started and continue to perpetuate a war that is unjust. It is for us, the people, to be dedicated to finishing the war, which they who gather here have thus far so ignobly advanced. It's for us to be dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from those who have passed we take increased devotion to that cause to which they gave the last full measure of their lives, that we here highly resolve that those who have passed shall not have passed away in vain, that this nation shall have a new birth of freedom, and a new legislation by the people, for the people, shall assist in the drug war perishing from the earth. Matt Noffs. I just wanted to follow up with some concluding remarks of my own to note something that I think is little regarded, which is that enforcing laws against drug use and the personal possession of drugs is not part of our national drug strategy. I mean that quite literally. It's not in there. I checked. It's not there because it doesn't fit with the strategy's harm minimisation objectives and its commitment to evidence. Nevertheless, the Australian Crime Commission reports that now over 80,000 people are arrested each year in Australia for drug consumer offences, and almost 20,000 in New South Wales. We should not have laws against drug use. Those laws are not good for people's health, justice, or dignity. And that's important because those people are people that we care about. So let's focus on that as a movement. Let's say, if you really care about people, you shouldn't criminalise the harmless ones. Thank you.